Hello everyone, welcome to another bullet journal video. Today we are looking at my February reading journal setup, and if you have not yet watched my everyday bullet journal reading setup for February, that is already linked on the channel and in the description below. But I use the same theme in both journals to keep some cohesiveness to each month, and I decided for February, since it's the last month of summer here in the southern hemisphere, I would do a mermaid beach theme. And I'm using a paper pack that's probably discontinued now. It's by Craftsmith and it's called Feeling Naughty. I've had this paper pack for several years now, and I really like how bright and playful and whimsical it is. I chose this paper pack mostly for summer, but also when it comes to my front cover page, you won't see me writing it down, but I do put a quote from a book that I love on the front. And it's not the quote from a character who is a mermaid, but I used the Cruel Prince quote, and it's actually from the Wicked King, sorry, but from the Folk of the Air series by Holly Black. And I did that because one of the characters is a mermaid, and a lot of time in the Wicked King is set underwater. So that's why it sort of fitted for this theme in my reading journal. Sometimes I feel like I don't quite set up with the right theme for my reading journal, especially if it's something like this, but that's how I connect the two. Moving on to one of my most used pages each month. As you can see, I've just made a mistake and I will figure that out later on, but this is my monthly view page, and this is where I jot down quite a lot of stats, really. It's a statistics page, and this monthly calendar here is usually smaller, but I'm trialing it to be bigger because last month I deviated away from my usual setup, which I'd been doing religiously in my other bullet journal last year for my reading log, to try and track my reading in a different way. So sometimes I read more than one book in a day, and this is where it's caught me. Because I read both ebook and physical, I did a color code and a graph style. If you watched the January setup, you would, my setup for this book, you would see that it's there, that it's got this little graph section, and I've been trialing it, but it just didn't work for me. It got quite messy when I was reading more than one book a day, and I was trying to track it by percentage because that was the common denominator between the two. It just didn't work for me. So I'm going back to another style where I track during the calendar what I read each day and what percentage or what page number I'm on by the end of that day. However, I also am using this as a social media tracker, and I think that even though I've made the boxes bigger, they're not going to be, it's still going to be messy. So maybe in March I'll have to try and do a different layout, 2 calendars perhaps, and see if that will help me with figuring out how to make this work for me, because it really wasn't working and it's still not. So fingers crossed I can figure this out by March. But we're just doing a little bit of stats down the bottom. I try to track each month what I'm reading, how much I'm reading, and that all gets put into a yearly statistic page, which I set up in my 2022 setup for this book. You can check that, the link is in the description below. And I also do that digitally, so I'm a bit obsessive, but I do enjoy having the stats and knowing what I'm reading and doing. And as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of little circles that I'm putting on this page right now, and that is just a visual guide of what days I've read and what days I haven't. However, I normally just do this with 2 colors this time round because I have a tracker in the start of this book, for a yearly tracker, stating how many books I've read each day. I keep forgetting to go back to that page, and then I'm flustered a little bit about how many books I did read on that day because I've stopped using that graph. It just got too confusing. So this time around I'm going to try and do it all in February and then fill it in at the end of the month. So as you can see, I'm adding these little circles for a key, and each color will represent how many books I've read, 1, 2, or 3, or more. Generally I won't read any more than 3 in a day, but we'll see. And then the last color is did not read. And the last section that I'm putting onto this overview is just a books hauled. I wouldn't say disgusted, but I am overwhelmed by how many books I've brought this month. I've not used a digital tracker like the one I'm using for this year's book tracking, and it has a section to jot down how much you spend on a book, and it tallies it up for you. And I've never looked at that before, and it was quite overwhelming to see how much I've spent in January alone on books. So hopefully by having a visual here and sort of knowing that I need to not spend so much on books anymore, I will hopefully be able to bring that number down. That's my goal anyway. As you can see, I just cut out some of these shells and I'm trying to decorate, but in the end I ended up making it really simple and just using 2 of them. I just felt like it was a bit overwhelming with so much on the page and with all the stats that's going to be there in the end. So I just went really simple and used 2 of them. I think it really suits the setup, and I'm hopeful that this page will work, or at least show me what I need to fix for March, because it will bother me if I can't get this page right. It really does need to be a functional page for me, and I do enjoy filling it in. So I'm a bit flustered that it stopped working halfway through January, and I will show you a January flip through at some point, probably at the end of the month. Yeah, it didn't work. So we're moving on to another page that I use a lot, or this spread, and it is my TBR and my prompts list page. So I use a TBR jar format to get 6 prompts each month, and I use them for just keeping me on track for reading. And then I also put down 10 books on TBR list each month that I don't have to follow and complete, but I do like having it there just in case I have a day where I think perhaps I don't know what to read, and then I can check and see if I've checked off everything. If I haven't, then I can perhaps pick that one up. I also am doing a lot of arcs this month, and I found that I needed to write them down somewhere. So that's why in February I've also added that section in there just in case I get some more. I'm trying to slow down on them, but there have been some really good reads this month because of arcs, and I wanted to make sure that I was dedicating a space for them in my bullet journal each month as well. So just a lot of squares really to set up on this page, and I do write down the prompts, and I have yet to put the TBR jar video up on the channel. I am still in the process of trying to edit it in a way that works. It's not really set up well, so we're going to have to work on that one for next month as well. But for now, this is the setup for my February prompts list, and you get a sneak peek now, and hopefully I'll have that video up before February starts. Final page, or final pages, is just my simple reading log. So each month I jot down the book I read, so the title, the author, if it's in a series or standalone, how many pages, when I read it, what format it is, and the star rating. I use Corepile for my star rating, and I do that on my digital format system for my book tracking, and then I just transfer that into my bullet journal as I go. Sometimes I will just decide what a book is just because I've decided as well, and I quite like that freedom. So having the ability to set this up however I want works for me. And I do 2 pages of it because I can't always fit the amount of books that I read onto one 2-page spread. So that's what I am only setting up the first page, but I do have the second page ready to go when I get there. That mistake was really easily fixed with a bit of gel pen, and I think I can fit more on this page than I do normally. I normally have 14, and I think I've gotten to 17. So maybe I only need this 2-page spread and I will be able to do whatever I want with that last page. But as you can see, I am just designating each section a little line. It was just something that I picked up recently doing to this page, and it really helps me out because I have actually ran out of space one time and it all looked a mess. So doing this line has been really helpful to just view where each book ends up finishing. So once we're finished with this, I think I flip back and write in my TBR. Yes. So these are just some books that I'm going to be reading. Over February, I am taking part in the 𝓦𝓱𝓮𝓮 or is it 𝓘𝓽𝓮𝓮? The fantasy romance readathon. I will link that below as well. So I've just cut some of that out, but here's the rest of that TBR finished, and I'm going to do my flip through now. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed seeing this, and it's given you some inspiration to have your own reading log if you don't have one already, or to add pages to ones that you do already. Thank you again for all the support that I've received with this book, and I will be back with a new video soon. Bye everyone!